But for years, we had not met Candus and Dawn. Oh, that's real good. So anyway, for years we had not met them. Knew they were over there. And what happens is every time Andy is gone over the weekend or a few days or whatever to Norris Lake, somebody who knew the property well enough, like I was laying in bed at night, and my arm, maybe an arm and a half's length away from the window. When it first began, it was spring, summer of one season because I had the windows open. It was just a screen, you know. And, man, it made you feel kind of crazy, right? But I'd see a shadow creep up and stand to the side of the window. Almost every night he was gone. Pretty often, anyway. And they would just stand there. But even with all the dead leaves and everything else, they were so quiet, even I doubted. It's like, man, am I seeing what I'm seeing? Am I seeing what I'm seeing? And as you can tell from my videos for months now, I could hear on that property. So whoever was doing that, they'd been on the property enough to be able to pull that. Anyway, there was one particular night. I knew it wasn't like it was a noise, a dead noise. Like, I was like, that's it. And this particular medicine I was on turns off your fight or flight anyway. Now, even on normal days, I don't have much of one of those. But this took it all away. So there was the kids alone. Definitely knew I was seeing, what I was seeing that night. And so I ran out the door. Jumped up, ran out the door, ran after this person, and almost caught him. So an arm's length away from pulling him down by the shirt collar in the driveway. And it hit me. It was like, Jody Sue, you've got to stop. You just left the kids alone. If something happens to you, they could, So I stopped. And I let him go. And then for a while, things calmed down, And in between all this, I'm getting anonymous gifts from Amazon of things I've only talked about inside the house. Now, mind you, even at this point, we didn't really have internet. And I still don't do the spyware pancakes or anything in the house, just saying. So there was no way I could have accidentally ordered, but it was stupid stuff like clay softener, random garbage stuff that I had only mentioned in that house, to Andy, to the kids. And they never would tell me who was sending them, even though I knew what they were and for what they were, that it was whoever was watching was sending those to let me know that they were that close. They heard me. You know who does that? A super predator. That's who. But anyway, this carries on from one season to the next boat season, off and on. But it wasn't like this, And the kids had heard and seen it by that point too, so he starts taking me seriously. And then one night, what we have to do is take out his Jeep like he's normally leaving, parked it somewhere, brought him back in my Jeep and covered him up where he couldn't be seen. Snuck him in the house, had him stay quiet, and lo and behold, what happens? Well, there comes Peepin' Tom, and fucks around and finds out. So Andy chases him at this point. Almost catches him, but he's super overweight at the time, trying to get it over. He has to come back, because at this point they jump in a truck. He comes back to get the car to chase them, the Jeep. And they telegraph towards Sullivan County side. And I believe he said that there was two people. One driving and one... They run they get away. And then after that, what happens like the next day? Well, Candus shows up at the mailbox. And then Don introduces himself. You know what Andy maintains for years, including when we talked to the feds after summer vanished, is that has been and was Don that he almost caught. He's maintained that since he met Don. It was like, that's the guy. Until recently, and we also had animal issues and dogs disappearing and weird things to the dogs at the time. And I thought then, and I was like, holy crap, because I was on the friends, we were trying to piece this together with other people. And I thought it was a new revelation. Because I was like, wait a minute, wasn't that when Elwood and Blondie and all that, and they kept coming back after disappearing, and the litters were at the bottom of the mailbox, and they weren't there to bark at whoever this was at the window, and all these things. Was that not, because it was a birthday reminder of their birthday in October, right before Halloween, is what popped it up. And I was like, wait a minute, when did the problems with the dogs start with us? Well, it coincides with the exact time the Peeping Tom was there on our property. And the gifts were coming. But they would come back smelling like hay, like somebody kept them somewhere super clean, and you could see rope ties around their back legs where somebody had them tied, and at first kept thinking snares or, all these things. But it didn't make sense. Somebody around there has a barn, especially with hay. Couldn't figure out who, it just, either way, I thought this, I was like, wait a minute, the other night. I thought it was a revelation because I'd forgotten. But then going back through to put this timeline together, the past little while for my own self and others now looking into it. Even at the time, apparently I had taken note of that, but I'd forgotten in the years in between. So then I thought, wow, wait a minute. But actually I had noticed at the time and told other people about it in messages about the dogs and the issues with them. So apparently we weren't the only ones having dog issues around the time weird pervs are around. Imagine that. So anyway, then, here's what gets me, and I thought all these years was targeted towards me, right? Even up until recently, in the past few days, as we think about this, and we think about it, and we're trying to puzzle it through. And it occurs to me, my daughter at the time was co-sleeping when Andy was out of town. And so she was right beside me, and behind me, though. Guess how old she was? 5 and 6. And she was the only little girl on the road at the time. Just like she ended up being before we moved. Somehow again. Also, what strikes me as weird is the Peeping Tom thing kind of stopped after Summer was born. Which wasn't long after. Kind of just went away. And then I start thinking, what's weird? And I thought it's been weird after I figured out how old. And I've never doubted the Utah thing or the sisters, not once. But I never doubted their Utah story, you see, because I knew enough about Utah that when it was just a text message being shared online, they knew what I knew to be true about Utah. So I knew they weren't lying. So I never had to have Dawn tell me anything. But then when I found out their ages, in comparison to Summer, and now I'm putting together that age with my own and our separate incident 5 and 6 years ago. And the dogs. It bothers me greatly. And they all may just be coincidence. 5, 6, 5, 6. And years in between at that, right? Here's 5 or 6 years going in between incidents. Some are missing. And also what strikes me as weird, there was conversations during the same time that the peeping Tom was active on our property. Carly Trent went missing. Carly Trent went missing too during that time, although she was found and with, the guy. But, you know, um, definitely not Dawn involved there. But these numbers, the pattern, 5, 6, 5, 6, including in between incidents. I don't know if it means anything. And the police were called. We're trying to get a hold of the police calls and the records for the time that Andy had almost caught them, because we did call the cops, and I remember being a point of contention. That's why you often hear me say it takes them 2 hours to get there, because it really did that night. It took the cops like 2 hours to get there to respond to the call we made about like the peeping Tom. But that call did happen, and but we're having issues trying to locate it, the call, the police report, whatever. Anyway, there's records, conversations to prove I didn't. From years ago when it was happening actively and otherwise, and the timelines and the dates to show I didn't just pull this piece out of my ass since summer went missing. It was happening, transpiring. That did happen in those timelines when my daughter was the same age. So anyway. And whether Andy's right or not, whether it was done, I don't know, but he's maintained that, still does. Or did anyway, up until a couple weeks ago. And I guess it's whatever, but I think he told the feds that as well. And the card team unit, the real one, not the fake one, these YouTubers have rolling around. And, and I think he maintained that it was Dawn, and I think he had a second opinion there, but he says Dawn. And like I said, there's still things I'm not willing to say. Certain stuff I'm not going to touch on right now. I know a narcissist when I see one and meet one. That's the thing about him. Y'all, I've been around murderers and thieves and all kinds of people you can't even imagine. But Dawn, it's like I told the cops, there's something about Dawn. And I'm pretty good at naming people, and my soul feels them a mile away. I can tell you what type of they are. But Dawn has always struck me as just some flavor of something I couldn't name, and I still can't put a name to it. And that's a fact. But even in that same breath, it's like, right before we moved completely out of Ben Hill, still was more comfortable going with him in the dark in a car out to town than I would be Andy. Whatever. Because I know whatever flavor Dawn is entirely different. I know the danger presented to him by Andy, you know what I'm saying? But there's still something there, and I still can't name the flavor for you. So, hi Jesse. Yeah, so, like I said, I'm not changing my story for anybody. Because it's fact and it's truth. And, I don't claim to hold all the pieces. And I know better minds than mine are working on it. And I trust them, especially the feds. They do hold all of the pieces that I do. I mean, I've given, and if they have a million more questions and want me to sit in a room for a million more days, I'll answer, I'll tell, I'll do whatever the hell is needed of me to help find something. And so there's proof out here that this is like going on and occurring, so I just don't come out with it at once and I sound Fruit Loops. At least there's a discussion every, few days, and it's like, okay, here's the timeline, here's what's happening now, here's what's happening now. Because these videos, make no mistake, are, the trail, very much so, between all of these things. So there's timelines and dates and activities in between, and a record of. And I'm well aware, just like I've been from day one. I mean, I'm sure cops watch these things, and that's fine, and I'm sure they gather body language and eye movements and all kinds of things off of them and make sure everybody stores whatever and, motives, and that's fine with me because I have none. You know, I feel like so many people are involved in this craziness. But there you go. You know, there you go. That's the damn truth. That's how I feel about it.